Tonight, the Philippines has redrawn the map of the South China Sea, sending a clear signal to the world that the status quo is no longer acceptable. The lines on the map are not just boundaries, they are a declaration of intent, a statement that Manila is ready to defend its waters. Manila is tripling its patrols in the West Philippine Sea, deploying more ships and personnel than ever before. This is a direct challenge to Beijing's expanding presence, a move that raises the stakes in one of the world's most contested maritime regions. This is not quiet diplomacy, it's a bold public stand against years of Chinese encroachment. The confrontations at sea are now more frequent, and the risks of escalation are higher than ever. Filipino officials now speak with resolve, vowing to defend every inch of their exclusive economic zone. Their message is clear: the era of hesitation is over, and the nation will not back down. The message: no more silent retreats, no more unchecked incursions. The people of the Philippines are rallying behind their leaders, demanding action and accountability. Years of harassment, fishermen driven out, supply missions blocked, have pushed Manila to this point. The livelihoods of thousands have been threatened, and patience has finally run out. Quiet diplomacy has failed. Now, presence will meet presence. Every patrol, every maneuver, is a message that the Philippines will not yield its rights. The world is watching how China will respond to this unprecedented defiance. International media and diplomats are closely monitoring every development, aware that the consequences could ripple far beyond these waters. The move tests international law, alliances, and the resolve of the United States. Washington's support is being measured, and ASEAN's unity is being put to the test. Regional neighbors are watching too, as Manila's actions could set a new precedent. Vietnam, Malaysia, and others are weighing their own responses, knowing that what happens here could shape their futures as well. The calm sea hides a storm of power, sovereignty, and national identity. Beneath the surface, tensions simmer, and the struggle for control intensifies. The Philippines has thrown down the gauntlet, making it clear that it will not be intimidated or sidelined. The stakes: the future of Southeast Asian security, the balance of power, and the rules that will govern these vital waters. This is a nation refusing to be pushed aside in its own backyard. The spirit of the Filipino people is on full display, determined and unyielding. The next moves will shape the region for decades. The world waits as a new chapter in the South China Sea begins to unfold. The new Philippine strategy in the South China Sea marks a dramatic shift, from cautious behind-the-scenes diplomacy to a bold twofold approach, expanding patrols and embracing assertive transparency. This transformation is not just a change in tactics, but a redefinition of how the Philippines asserts its sovereignty and protects its maritime rights. The Coast Guard and Navy now cover a patrol area 3 times larger than before, aiming for a near-constant presence across the entire exclusive economic zone. This expanded coverage means Filipino ships are visible in waters where they were once rarely seen, sending a clear message of resolve and vigilance. This increased presence directly counters China's so-called cabbage strategy, which relies on surrounding contested areas with layers of Chinese vessels. Now the Filipino presence is impossible to ignore, challenging every encroachment and making it clear that the Philippines will not be sidelined. The second pillar of this strategy is just as crucial: document and publicize every incident, no matter how small or routine it may seem. Gone are the days of quiet diplomacy and secret negotiations. Now, every blockade, every dangerous maneuver, and every act of intimidation is filmed, cataloged, and released to the world for all to see. This weaponizes information, exposing China's gray zone tactics and rallying international support for the Philippine cause. By shining a spotlight on these confrontations, Manila turns transparency into a powerful diplomatic tool. The Philippines may not be able to match China ship for ship or in sheer military might, but it can win the battle of narratives and public opinion. By providing clear, undeniable evidence of what happens at sea, Manila puts Beijing on the defensive in the global arena, forcing China to answer tough questions and justify its actions. Every act of aggression is now public, broadcast across international media, and forcing China to either explain its behavior or face mounting global criticism and diplomatic pressure. Filipino sailors are now both guardians of the nation's waters and frontline journalists, capturing the truth as it unfolds and ensuring the world cannot look away. This asymmetric approach leverages not just ships and sailors but also the power of truth in international law, making every documented incident a building block for Manila's case. Transparency has become the Philippines' sharpest sword, cutting through propaganda and misinformation with clear, undeniable facts. The fight is not just for territory, but for legitimacy on the world stage, and Manila is more determined than ever to win it, one documented truth at a time. To truly grasp the stakes in today's South China Sea conflict, we need to look back at how it all began and why it matters so much now. The roots of the dispute lie in China's sweeping 9-line claim, which covers almost the entire South China Sea, an area rich in resources, vital shipping lanes, and strategic military value. This controversial claim directly overlaps with the Philippines' internationally recognized exclusive economic zone, as well as the claims of several other Southeast Asian nations. In 2013, frustrated by repeated incursions and failed negotiations, Manila took a bold step, bringing China to court under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. After years of legal arguments and global attention, the Hague Tribunal delivered a landmark ruling in 2016, siding with the Philippines and declaring China's 9-line invalid under international law. But China flatly rejected the verdict, refusing to participate in the proceedings and instead accelerating its construction of artificial islands and military outposts across the disputed waters. Despite the legal victory, China's actions on the water only grew bolder, with Filipino fishermen and Coast Guard vessels facing increasing confrontations and intimidation. China's so-called gray zone tactics, blockades, harassment, and the rapid expansion of artificial islands became more frequent and aggressive, challenging Manila's resolve. The ruling gave the Philippines both legal and moral high ground, but it did not translate into real deterrence or change China's behavior on the ground. Filipino leaders soon realized that relying on international law alone was not enough to stop blockades or protect their fishermen and territory. Their new strategy: enforce their rights through a stronger, more visible presence at sea, and by exposing China's actions to the world through media and diplomacy. The old policy of trading silence for promised Chinese investment is over. Manila is now more vocal, more assertive, and more determined to defend its sovereignty. Today, the Philippines is returning to the principles of the 2016 Hague ruling, this time, not just with words, but with action, presence, and a renewed commitment to defending its rights in the South China Sea. Manila's assertive policy is a response to escalating dangerous incidents at sea. At 2nd Thomas Shoal, Filipino Marines on a grounded ship face constant harassment from larger Chinese vessels. Chinese ships have fired high-pressure water cannons, damaging boats and injuring crew. Scarborough Shoal is blockaded. Filipino fishermen are kept out, their catch confiscated. At Whitsun Reef, hundreds of Chinese militia vessels have swarmed, intimidating all others. Even the skies are tense, with Chinese helicopters flying dangerously close to Philippine aircraft. Each incident is documented, building a mountain of evidence. Manila's new strategy: confront aggression head-on and make the world watch. The Philippines' new policy is backed by a surge in patrols and operational tempo. Coast Guard missions in the West Philippine Sea have jumped by over 50% in the past year. Ships now stay at sea for weeks, ensuring a constant presence at key flashpoints. The patrol area has expanded threefold, covering the full 220,000 square kilometers of the West Philippine Sea. The Navy and Air Force have joined in, conducting joint operations and aerial reconnaissance. This synergy provides real-time intelligence and layered defense. The results: more successful resupply missions, better protection for fishermen, and a flood of public reports documenting Chinese activities. Every patrol is now a mission of presence and proof, and the data-driven approach strengthens Manila's diplomatic and legal claims. The message is clear: the Philippines is here to stay. Assertive transparency has turned the West Philippine Sea into a global stage. Filipino patrols now film every encounter, using cameras, drones, and satellite links to broadcast events in real time. Edited footage is released within hours, shaping global opinion and making it hard for China to deny its actions. Vivid images of water cannon attacks and blockades have rallied international support and domestic unity. Each act of aggression, caught on camera, chips away at China's credibility. At home, the strategy inspires national pride and political resolve. Assertive transparency is more than media. It's a comprehensive approach to defending sovereignty. Operations, information, and diplomacy are now fused into a single effort. The Philippines is fighting for its rights in the full light of day. Manila's new strategy is backed by a determined modernization drive. The Coast Guard has acquired larger, longer-range patrol vessels from Japan and France. The Navy now fields modern warships, including new frigates with advanced sensors and missiles. More ships, radars, and surveillance aircraft are on the way. Strategic outposts are being upgraded with new runways, barracks, and logistics hubs. The goal: a credible, sustainable defense posture in the West Philippine Sea. Every peso is spent with a clear focus, defending sovereignty, not matching China ship for ship. Modernization gives teeth to Manila's defiance. The Philippines is not alone. Alliances are central to its new posture. The U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty has been reaffirmed, with Washington pledging to defend Filipino forces in the South China Sea. Joint patrols and military exercises have increased, sending a clear message to Beijing. The U.S. is also helping modernize the Philippine military with funding, training, and equipment. Japan and Australia have become key partners, providing ships, training, and joint patrols. Manila is building ties with European powers and pushing ASEAN for a unified stance. This web of partnerships isolates China and complicates its strategy. The Philippines is now part of a broader coalition defending a rules-based order. Manila's bold course is a high-stakes balancing act, deterrence without escalation. More encounters mean higher risk of miscalculation or conflict. Filipino crews must enforce rights without provoking war. China could escalate with blockades or new air defense zones. Sustaining this strategy strains resources and demands resilience. There's also the risk of transparency fatigue as the world's attention shifts. The Philippines must keep its story in the spotlight. This is a test of national agency, combining legal victory, transparency, modernization, and alliances. The challenge: defend sovereignty while keeping peace. The future of the West Philippine Sea and the region may depend on Manila's resolve.